The champagne flute slipped from Declan's fingers, shattering against the polished teak deck like a gunshot in the humid night air, drawing every eye in the grand dining hall to him as if he'd just confessed a sin. Across the table, the captain's broad smile faltered for a split second, his salt and pepper beard twitching, while the man seated beside Declan, tall, olive-skinned, with eyes like smoked whiskey, reached out instinctively, his hand brushing Declan's knee under the starched white tablecloth in a touch that burned hotter than the California sunset bleeding through the portholes. In that frozen heartbeat, Declan knew this cruise, meant to wash away the wreckage of his last heartbreak, had just veered into waters too deep to navigate alone. Declan had boarded the Pacific Horizon in Los Angeles 3 days earlier, the ship's hull groaning against the pilings like an old lover reluctant to let go. At 28, he was no stranger to reinvention. Seattle's relentless rain had driven him here, to this floating escape pod slicing through the Pacific toward Mexico's sun-drenched coast. His life back home felt like a half-finished manuscript, a graphic design gig that paid the rent on a cramped Capitol Hill apartment, friends who texted encouragements but rarely showed up, and the ghost of Marcus, his ex of 3 years, who had packed his bags with a curt, "I need space to breathe," after Declan suggested they move in together. Space. As if love were a vacuum you could fill with apps and anonymous hookups. Declan had laughed it off at first, then cried into his pillow until the fabric smelled like salt and regret. This cruise was his white flag, 7 days of turquoise waves, bottomless mimosas, and 0 reminders of flannel shirts and cold coffee mornings. The ship was a marvel of American excess, all gleaming chrome elevators and infinity pools that spilled into the horizon, crewed by a multicultural swirl of accents from Manila to Miami. Declan had kept to himself mostly, lounging by the adults-only deck with a dog-eared copy of Joan Didion's The Year of Magical Thinking, nursing pina coladas that tasted like coconut-flavored amnesia. Tonight's captain's dinner was the obligatory schmooze, a black tie affair where passengers swapped LinkedIn profiles and sunburn stories. He dressed up just enough to blend in, his linen shirt clinging slightly from the humidity, khakis pressed but rumpled at the hems from the day's wanderings. The dining hall aboard the Horizon was a cathedral of excess, crystal chandeliers dangling like frozen waterfalls, tables draped in ivory linens groaning under platters of seared scallops and lobster thermidor. The air thick with the clink of silverware and laughter that echoed off vaulted ceilings painted with murals of mermaids and mariners. 200 souls crammed in, from Midwestern retirees in sequin gowns to tech bros from Silicon Valley flashing Rolexes that caught the light like distress signals. Declan had been seated at a table of strangers. Evelyn, a silver-haired widow from Portland, nursing a gin fizz and tales of her late husband's fly-fishing obsessions. Tom and Carla, a couple from Dallas whose Texas drawls turned every sentence into a barbecue invite. And then him, Liam Navarro, introduced by the maitre d' as a guest lecturer on marine biology, his name tag pinned to a tailor blazer that hugged shoulders built from years hauling research gear, not gym selfies. Liam was 32, or so he said when the small talk circled to ages, his voice a low rumble with a faint East Coast edge, maybe Boston. Declan guessed, though the vowels softened like they'd been sanded down by too many West Coast winters. Dark hair cropped close, a jawline shadowed with stubble that begged to be traced, and those eyes, amber fleck brown, that seemed to hold the weight of underwater currents. He wasn't loud like the tech bros or performative like the retirees. He listened, really listened, leaning in when Evelyn rambled about salmon runs, his fingers drumming a subtle rhythm on his water glass that Declan found himself sinking to without realizing. The hook of the evening had been the captain's toast, a booming monologue about unity on the high seas. But Declan's attention snagged on Liam the moment he slid into the seat beside him. Their knees had brushed under the table during appetizers, an accident that lingered a beat too long, sending a spark up Declan's thigh he hadn't felt since Marcus's last good day. "Rough seas ahead," Liam had murmured, nodding at the spilled champagne as waiters swarmed with towels and apologies, his breath warm against Declan's ear, close enough to smell sandalwood and sea salt. Declan chuckled, low and self-deprecating, wiping foam from his cuff. "Just my luck. Name's Declan. From Seattle. But don't hold the gloom against me." He extended a hand, pulse thudding like the ship's engines far below. "Liam," the man replied, his grip firm, callous palms speaking of field work rather than keyboards. "Originally from Gloucester, Massachusetts fishing town, caught in regrets. Now I chase whales for a living. Or try to." His smile was crooked, revealing a dimple that deepened when he released Declan's hand, but didn't pull away entirely. The conversation flowed like the wine, bold reds from Napa valleys neither had visited but both pretended to know. Evelyn dominated the lobster course with stories of Oregon's craft breweries, but Liam turned to Declan during the sorbet interlude, his voice dropping. "You look like you're carrying the Pacific on your shoulders." "First cruise," Declan hesitated, the truth bubbling up unbidden. "Trying to outrun a breakup. Ex decided I was too. Steady. Like a habit he outgrew." The words hung there, rawer than he'd intended. But Liam didn't flinch. Instead, he nodded, his eyes steady. "Steady's underrated. Chaos is what sinks ships." He paused, fork hovering over his creme brulee. "Mine was a slow burn, guy in grad school. Thought we were building something. Turns out he was just borrowing my notes on life." The vulnerability cracked something in Declan, a fissure letting in light. They traded stories as dessert plates cleared, Liam's tales of tagging humpbacks off Baja, the thrill of a fluke breaching at dawn, Declan's sketches of Seattle's fog-shrouded markets, the way rain turned streetlights into halos. By the time coffee arrived, black for both. No sugar, the table had thinned. Evelyn yawning about early spa appointments. Tom and Carla debating casino odds. The captain circulated, shaking hands like a politician on the stump. But Declan barely noticed. Liam's foot nudged his under the table. Deliberate now, a Morse code of intent. "Walk with me," Liam asked as the room emptied, the orchestra striking up a languid jazz standard that pulled couples to the dance floor beyond the glass doors. Declan's heart stuttered. Yes. 1,000 times yes, but caution. That old Seattle drizzle held it back. Just to the rail. Stars are brutal out here. No light pollution to hide behind. They slipped out onto the promenade deck, the ship's lights casting golden pools on the teak planks, the ocean of black mirrors stretching to infinity. Salt wind whipped at Declan's shirt, carrying the faint brine of kelp and possibility. Liam leaned on the rail, sleeves rolled to his elbows, forearms corded with veins like rivers on a map. "Ever feel like you're adrift, even when everything's mapped out?" he asked, voice blending with the wave's hush. "All the time," Declan admitted, standing close enough to feel the heat radiating off Liam's body. Their shoulders brushed, and neither moved away. The night air hummed with unspoken invitations, the way Liam's gaze lingered on Declan's mouth. The subtle shift of his hips toward the rail's curve, mirroring Declan's own. Conversation ebbed into silences that weren't awkward, but charged, like the pause before a storm breaks. Back inside, the dining hall had devolved into a swirl of after-dinner mingling. But Declan felt the pull elsewhere. Liam's cabin was on deck 7. He mentioned casually, a junior suite with a balcony facing west, perfect for whale watching at dawn, if Declan cared to join. The invitation hung there, wrapped in the scent of his cologne, as they parted at the elevators with a handshake that evolved into a lingering clasp, thumbs brushing knuckles in a promise. Alone in his own cabin, a modest interior stateroom with porthole views of endless blue, Declan stripped down, the mirror reflecting a body tone from Puget Sound hikes, but softened by winter comforts. He replayed the evening, the shatter of glass, Liam's touch under the table, the dimple that appeared like a secret. His phone buzzed, a text from his sister in Tacoma. How's paradise? Drowning in margaritas yet? He typed back something better, then deleted it, settling for waves or calling. Miss you. Sleep came fitful, dreams tangled with whales and whiskey eyes. Morning broke with the ship's PA crooning about yoga on the Lido deck. But Declan lingered in bed, replaying the night until the sheets twisted around him like regrets. By brunch, he'd convinced himself it was nothing, a flirtation, harmless as sea foam. But when he spotted Liam at the buffet, piling his plate with fresh papaya and bacon, their eyes locked across the linen-draped tables, and Declan's resolve crumbled. Liam waved them over, casual as if they were old salts. And just like that, the cruise tilted on its axis. They spent the afternoon on excursion tenders, zipping out to Catalina Island's jagged shores, where eucalyptus scented the air and trails wound through chaparral-like veins. Liam led, his stride easy, backpack slung low, pointing out tide pools teeming with anemones that waved like tiny flags of surrender. Declan followed, heart light for the first time in months, snapping photos on his phone, not of the scenery, but of Liam's profile against the sun, the way sweat beaded on his neck like dew. Back aboard as the sun dipped, they shared a deck chair by the infinity pool, knees touching, beers sweating in their hands. Tell me something real, Liam said, his free hand tracing idle patterns on Declan's thigh, hidden by the towel draped across their laps. Declan did, about the tattoo on his rib, a compass rose inked after Marcus's first betrayal, a reminder to find true north. Liam listened, then rolled up his sleeve, revealing a faded anchor on his forearm. For my dad. Fisherman. Lost at sea when I was 10. Taught me to trust the pull, even when it scares you. The kiss happened there, under the awning's shade, slow and inevitable as the tide. Liam's lips were soft, tasting of hops and salt, his hand cupping Declan's jaw with a gentleness that belied the urgency building between them. Declan melted into it, fingers threading through Liam's hair, the world narrowing to the press of bodies and the distant call of gulls. When they broke apart, breathless, Liam whispered, "My cabin." Now, the corridor to deck 7 blurred, doors whipping past like frames in a film reel. Liam's keycard fumbled in the lock. Nerves. He laughed, and then they were inside, the door clicking shut on the outside world. The suite was larger than Declan's. Balcony doors cracked to let in the evening breeze. Bed, turned down with mints on the pillows. They didn't make it that far. Liam backed Declan against the vanity, mouths crashing together, hands roaming with the hunger of men starved for touch. Shirts peeled off, buttons scattering like confetti. Declan's fingers explored the ridges of Liam's abs, scarred faintly from field work, while Liam's mouth trailed fire down his neck, nipping at the collarbone until Declan gasped. They tumbled to the carpet, a tangle of limbs and laughter. The surprise of it all, the way Liam's body fit against his, solid and yielding, the low groans that vibrated through Declan's chest. It was messy, urgent, real, nails scraping backs, hips grinding in rhythm with the ship's subtle sway, climaxes crashing like waves on the rocks below. Afterward, spent and slick, they lay there, Declan's head on Liam's chest, listening to the thunder of his heart. "Stay," Liam murmured, fingers combing through Declan's damp hair. "Just for tonight," Declan did, the balcony stars wheeling overhead as they talked until dawn, bodies entwined like lifelines. Seattle felt a lifetime away. Marcus a faded photograph. This, whatever it was, felt like north. Dawn painted the balcony in pinks and golds, the Pacific a molten sheet stretching to the horizon. But Declan woke first, Liam's arm heavy across his waist like an anchor chain. He slipped free carefully, padding naked to the railing, the chill air raising goose flesh on his skin. Below, the ship cut through glassy waters, wake foaming white, and for a moment, Declan let himself believe in magic, this interlude, this man who snored softly behind him, sheets twisted around his hips. But reality crept in with the steward's knock. Trays of coffee and croissants delivered with discreet smiles. Liam stirred, stretching like a cat in sunlight, his eyes crinkling at the corners when he saw Declan silhouetted against the sea. "Morning, sailor," he drawled, voice gravelly from sleep and satiation, propping on an elbow to watch him. There was no awkwardness, no post-hookup scramble for clothes. Instead, Liam rose, joining him at the rail, bodies brushing in casual intimacy. They sipped coffee black as the night they'd left behind, steam curling like questions unspoken. The day unfolded in lazy loops, a trivia game in the atrium where they teamed up, butchering pop culture facts but nailing marine biology thanks to Liam's insider edge, their laughter drawing side eyes from competitive couples. Lunch was tacos from the poolside grill, eaten cross-legged on loungers. Declan's feet in Liam's lap as he confessed his secret talent for sketching whales from memory, rough lines on a napkin that made Liam's eyes light up. "You're wasted on logos." December. "Ever thought about illustrating field guides?" Declan shrugged. Heat rising not from the sun, but the nickname. The ease of it. "Maybe. After this, whatever this is, I'll think about a lot of things." The words carried weight, a probe for definition. But Liam just squeezed his ankle, thumbs circling the bone in a way that sent shivers north. Afternoon brought kayaking off Ensenada's coast, tenders bouncing over swells as they paddled tandem, arms sinking in powerful strokes. The water was alive, schools of sardines flashing silver, a sea lion's bark echoing from rocky outcrops. Liam pointed out orcas in the distance, dorsal fins slicing the blue like obsidian blades, his excitement infectious. "See that? Family pod. Males stick around. Protect the young." humans could learn a thing. Declan dipped his paddle, splashing Liam's chest, droplets catching rainbows in the light. Jealous of the whales now. But beneath the banter, the words landed, Liam's voice laced with something wistful, a shadow crossing his face like a cloud over the bay. Back aboard, showered and sun-kissed, they dressed for the evening's luau-themed deck party, Declan in a floral shirt that billowed like sails, Liam in linen pants and a tank that showed off the tattoo's full arc. The Lido deck thrummed with steel drums and fire dancers, tiki torches flickering against the twilight, passengers swaying with mai tais in hand. They danced, bodies close in the press of the crowd, hips grinding to calypso beats that masked the growing ache between them. Declan's hands on Liam's waist felt proprietary, right? As if they'd charted this course years ago. Later, in the dim glow of Liam's cabin, the luau's energy spilled over, clothes shedding a trail from door to bed. Mouths hungry, hands mapping new territories. Liam was attentive, reverent almost, kissing the freckles on Declan's shoulders, whispering praises in the hollow of his throat. "You're beautiful like this," he breathed, as Declan arched beneath him, the room spinning with the ship's roll and their rhythm. It was slower this time, exploratory, fingers curling inside, gasps muffled against pillows, release building like a squall until it broke, leaving them drenched and drowsy. Curled together after, balcony doors opened to the night symphony of waves and wind. Liam traced the compass tattoo again. "True north," he echoed, voice soft. "What's yours point to?" "Declan." Declan turned, propping on his side to meet those whiskey eyes. Used to think it was Marcus. Stability, a house in the suburbs maybe. Now, feels like it's pulling me here. He gestured vaguely at the sea. At them. Vulnerability cracking his voice. Liam's expression shifted. A flicker of something unreadable. Regret? Fear? It vanished quick as it came, replaced by a kiss. Deep and distracting. "Good. Because I'm not ready for you to sail off yet." But the next morning, as they lingered over room service eggs Benedict, Declan's phone lit up with a photo from his sister, him and Marcus at last pride, arms slung around each other, grins wide under rainbow banners. The contrast hit like a rogue wave, then certainty versus now's fragility. He showed Liam, half joking about masochism, but Liam's laugh was tight, his fork pausing midair. "Looks like you two were solid." "What broke it?" "Him. Mostly. Said I was too predictable. Wanted adventure. Spontaneity." Declan forced a shrug, but the old hurt seeped through, staining the moment. Liam set his fork down, reaching across the small table to clasp Declan's hand. "Predictable's a compliment in my book. Means you're the rock when the tide pulls hard." His thumb stroked Declan's knuckles. Grounding, but his eyes darted to the balcony, as if scanning for incoming storms. The ship's itinerary pressed on, Cabo San Lucas the next port, with its arching rock formations and tequila sunrises. They rented a jeep, bouncing along dirt roads to hidden beaches where the sand burned white-hot underfoot. Liam drove, wind tousling his hair, radio blasting Springsteen, Thunder Road, anthemic and aching. They swam naked in coves, bodies buoyant in the turquoise, chasing each other through breakers until exhaustion pulled them ashore. Lunch was ceviche from a roadside stand, lime sharp on their tongues, washed down with Pacificos that chilled the fire. On the return drive, Liam pulled over a mirador overlooking the Sea of Cortez. The viewpoint empty save for pelicans wheeling on thermals. He spread a blanket from the Jeep's back, pulling Declan down into a picnic of stolen moments. "Remember this," Liam said, as they lay tangled, sun dappling through palm fronds. "When you're back in the rain, sketching whales that aren't real." Declan propped on an elbow, studying the lines of Liam's face, the faint crow's feet from squinting at horizons, the scar above his lip from a childhood hook mishap. "And you? Chasing orcas. Forgetting the guy who can't swim without a life vest." Liam's laugh rumbled, but his eyes darkened. "Forgetting's not my strong suit." He kissed Declan then, fierce, as if sealing a pact against forgetfulness. Hands roaming until the blanket twisted beneath them. Bodies joining in the open air, exposed and alive. The world narrowed to gasps and grips, the distant crash of waves underscoring their urgency. Climax a shared shudder that echoed the Earth's own pulse. That night, back on the ship, the mood shifted subtly. The welcome aboard show in the theater featured acrobats and illusionists. But Declan caught Liam checking his watch twice, excusing himself mid-act for a quick call. He returned smelling faintly of cigarette smoke. Odd, since he'd sworn off them years ago, and his smiles came a beat slower. Declan chalked it up to jet lag or seasickness, pulling him close in the dim auditorium seats. But the seed of doubt took root, tiny and insidious. Over midnight snacks in the piano bar, whiskey neat for Liam, gin and tonic for Declan, the conversation turned deeper. Liam spoke of his research grant expiring soon, the pressure to publish or perish in academia's cutthroat waters. "One big discovery. That's all I need. Something to anchor me." His voice cracked on the last word, and Declan squeezed his hand, offering stories of his own stalled dreams. A children's book series about urban foxes that agents had politely declined. "You're too good to quit," Liam said, fierce. "Promise me you'll keep drawing." Declan promised, sealing it with a kiss that tasted of futures they might share. But as they wandered back to the cabin, arm in arm through corridors lit like veins of gold, Declan glimpsed a text notification on Liam's phone. Left charging on the nightstand. "Miss you tonight. Hurry back." The screen went dark before he could read more, but the words lodged like barnacles. He didn't mention it, curling into Liam's side instead, letting the ship's lullaby rock him to uneasy sleep. Dreams came fragmented, whales beaching on Seattle shores, Marcus laughing from afar, Liam's hand slipping from his grasp into abyssal depths. Day 5 dawned with whale-watching excursions. The ship's naturalists herding passengers to observation decks where binoculars trembled in eager hands. Declan and Liam claimed a spot at the bow, shoulders pressed, scanning swells for breaches. When it happened, a pod of grays surfacing in unison, spouts misting the air like celebratory fog, Liam hooped, pulling Declan into a hug that lifted him off his feet. That's it. Magic on tap. The joy carried them through lunch. A seafood buffet where they fed each other oysters, briny and slick, laughter bubbling like the champagne they'd smuggled. But afternoon brought a storm front, clouds boiling over the horizon, the captain's voice crackling over PA about minor course adjustments. Rain lashed the decks, forcing them indoors to the library, a wood-paneled haven of leather-bound tomes and chess sets gathering dust. They played cards instead, gin rummy, stakes rising with each hand until losers owed kisses. Liam won the first round, claiming his prize with a slow exploration of Declan's neck, teeth grazing pulse points until the librarian shushed them from across the room. Declan retaliated in the next, straddling Liam's lap in a secluded alcove, grinding just enough to elicit a groan muffled against his shirt. "Cheater," Liam accused, but his hands gripped Declan's hips like lifelines. As rain drummed the skylights, conversation veered to fears, Declan's terror of invisibility, fading into the wallpaper of his own life, Liam's dread of solitude, the echo of empty research cabins after expeditions ended. "I build walls," Liam admitted. "Card forgotten. Thick ones. Easier than letting someone see the cracks." Declan cupped his face, thumbs brushing stubble. "Show me yours." "I'll show you mine." The kiss that followed was tender, exploratory, leading them back to the cabin through emptying corridors. There, in the gray light filtering through storm clouds, they undressed each other with reverence, bodies a map of scars and stories. Liam was gentle, almost hesitant, entering Declan with a breath held like a prayer, movements building to a crescendo that shattered the tension. Afterward, as thunder rolled distant, Liam whispered, "You're cracking me open. December. Don't know if I should thank you or run." Declan held him tighter, ignoring the phone's silent buzz on the dresser. "Stay cracked. It's beautiful." But the storm passed, leaving humidity and unease. That evening's formal night, gala dinner in the main dining room, saw Declan in a borrowed tux from the ship's shop, ill-fitting but dashing. Liam resplendent in midnight blue velvet that hugged his frame. They posed for photos at the gangway, arms around waists, the photographer cooing about their chemistry. Inside, over filet mignon and Bordeaux, Liam seemed distracted, fork pushing peas like chess pieces, eyes flicking to his pager every few minutes. "Work?" Declan asked lightly, but the word tasted bitter. Liam nodded, forcing a smile. "Grant stuff." Deadline breathing down my neck. He reached for Declan's hand, squeezing. "But this it's the anchor right now." Dessert brought a surprise. The waiter's whisper to Liam. A folded note passed discreetly. Liam read it, color draining from his face, then crumpled it into his napkin. "Nothing," he said too quickly, but Declan saw the tremor in his fingers. The lie hung between them like smoke, tainting the chocolate souffle. They danced after, in a revolving lounge where stars wheeled overhead through panoramic glass. But Liam's steps faltered, his hold loose. Back in the cabin, passion flared defensive, rougher, almost punishing, nails leaving red trails, bites blooming on shoulders. It ended in silence. Backs turned, the space between them wider than the ocean outside. Declan lay awake long after Liam's breaths evened, staring at the ceiling's glow-in-the-dark stars, a cheesy touch from the decorator. The text from before replayed, "Miss you tonight." Jay, who was Jay? A colleague? An ex? The questions circled like sharks, but exhaustion pulled him under. Dreams of sinking ships and severed lines. Morning brought Puerto Vallarta's vibrant chaos. Cobblestone streets alive with mariachis and markets hawking silver in sarongs. They wandered hand in hand, bargaining for woven baskets and tasting street tamales wrapped in banana leaves, the spice burning away overnight's chill. Liam seemed lighter ashore, buying Declan a silver bracelet etched with waves, clasping it around his wrist with a kiss. "For luck," he said, eyes earnest. Against the storms, Declan believed him, or wanted to, as they boarded a catamaran for a sunset sail, wind filling sails like lungs drawing breath. Bottles of mezcal circulated among the small group, laughter loosening tongues. Liam pulled Declan to the bow, away from the chatter, kissing him with the horizon as witness. "I mean it," he murmured against Declan's lips. "This isn't just a ship. It's you." The words mended something frayed. And that night, in the cabin's hush, they made love with renewed tenderness, slow explorations, whispers of names like incantations. But as Declan drifted off, sated, Liam's phone lit once more. "We need to talk. Before it ends." The bracelet's silver warmed against Declan's wrist as he laced his fingers through Liam's on the tender back to the ship. Puerto Vallarta's lights receding like fireflies swallowed by dusk. The mezcal's glow lingered in their veins, softening edges, but the text gnawed at Declan, a splinter he couldn't pry loose. He glanced at Liam, profile sharp against the sodium lamps, humming a tune from a mariachi's, something about lost loves and returning tides. "Penny for your thoughts," Declan teased, bumping his shoulder. Liam turned, smile easy but eyes guarded. "Just memorizing this. You, the water, the way the air smells like adventure." He leaned in, kissing Declan's temple, but the pager on his belt buzzed again, insistent as a heartbeat. Liam silenced it with a flick, muttering about deadlines, but the interruption landed like a cold wave. That night, the ship hosted a murder mystery dinner theater. Passengers donning feathered boas and fake mustaches for roles in a 1920s speakeasy whodunit. Declan played the gumshoe, scribbling clues on a notepad while Liam, cast as the bootlegger, hammed it up with a gravelly accent that had their table in stitches. Laughter bridged the gap, glasses clinking in toasts to red herrings and alibis. But midway through the reveal, the butler, always the butler, Liam's phone vibrated under the table, drawing his gaze downward. "Go," Declan said quietly, waving him off when Liam hesitated. "Handle it." "I'll sleuth solo." Liam squeezed his thigh under the cloth, apologetic. 5 minutes. "Promise." He slipped out, leaving Declan to fend off questions from Evelyn, who'd joined their table, her gin fizz sloshing as she theorized about poison martinis. 10 minutes stretched to 20, the play wrapping in applause while Declan nursed a scotch, the ice melting into amber pools. When Liam returned, hair damp as if from a quick deck rinse, he slid back in with a rushed grand drama, thunder breathing fire. His hand found Declan's knee again, but the touch felt obligatory, a patch over a widening rift. They retreated to the cabin early, the theater's buzz fading behind them. Undressing in the low light, Declan caught Liam's reflection in the mirror, shoulders tense, jaw set like a man bracing for squalls. "Talk to me," Declan said, stepping close, hands on hips. "Whatever it is, we're in this together." Liam's eyes met his. "Stormy. It's nothing I can't handle. Just." Old baggage washing up, he pulled Declan into bed, bodies aligning familiarly. But the lovemaking was hurried, almost mechanical, thrust chasing release rather than connection, ending in a gasp that echoed hollow. Afterward, Liam turned away, feigning sleep, while Declan stared at the ceiling, the bracelet's clasp digging into his skin like a warning. Day 6 dawned with the ship's final sea day, a buffer before disembarkation's grind. Declan woke alone. Note on the pillow, deck tour with the naturalists. Meet for breakfast? Oh, he showered off the night's residue. Steam clouding the mirror. And dressed in swim trunks and a faded Husky's tee. The university's purple bowled against the terry cloth robe. The dining room hummed with farewells in progress. Suitcases lining corridors like exiles. But Liam waited at their usual table. 2 plates of huevos rancheros steaming. His smile brighter than the porthole's sun. "Forgive the ghosting?" he asked, pushing salsa toward Declan. Early riser curse. Declan slid into the seat, foot hooking Liam's calf under the table. "Only if you spill on a Grant." "What's the fire?" Liam forked eggs. Evasive. Budget cuts. Sponsors pulling strings. Standard academic bullshit. He changed tack quick, asking about Declan's post-cruise plans. Back to Seattle? Pitching that Fox book to a new agent? The deflection worked temporarily. Conversation flowing to dreams deferred. But Declan's gaze snagged on the pager clipped to Liam's waistband. Now joined by a lanyard badge. Guest lecturer, Oceanic Institute. Oceanic Institute, Declan read aloud. Casual. That's San Diego, right? You based there now? Liam nodded, chewing slower. Yeah. Field station in La Jolla. Whales don't care about zip codes. His laugh rang false, and he steered to safer waters. Plans for the spa. A couple's massage voucher he'd snagged from the concierge. The morning blurred into indulgence, oils and hot stones kneading knots for muscles. Liam's groans from the next table over-syncing with Declan's own. A private symphony through the bamboo partition. Emerging loose-limbed, they hit the gym for a desultory workout, spotting each other on weights. Sweat-slick skin brushing in the mirrored space. "You're distracting," Liam growled, spotting Declan's bench press, his hands hovering close enough to feel the heat. "Good," Declan panted, racking the bar. Payback for vanishing acts. They showered together after. The gym's communal stall empty save for them. Water cascading like a veil. Soap-sud hands explored. Kisses deepening under the spray until Liam dropped to his knees. Mouth hot and insistent, drawing moans that echoed off tiles. Declan braced against the wall, fingers in wet hair, release crashing swift and shattering. "My turn later," he promised, pulling Liam up for a bruising kiss. Lunch was forgotten in favor of the cabin, where later became now lazy. Sunlit sex on the balcony chaise. Ocean breeze cooling fevered skin. Bodies moving in unhurried waves. Liam was vocal, praises spilling like the sea below. And for hours, doubt receded, lapped away by touch and murmurs. But afternoon brought the farewell barbecue on the aft deck. Grills smoking with ribs and corn. A country band twanging Johnny Cash covers. Passengers milled, trading emails and hugs. The air thick with barbecue and bittersweet. Declan and Liam found a corner table. Plates pile high. But Liam's pager buzzed again, this time during a lull in the music. He glanced at it, face paling, then stood abruptly. "I have to." Crew briefing. "Naturalist stuff." "Be back for the sunset." Declan nodded, masking the twist in his gut. "Don't miss it." Best view on the ship. Alone. He wandered to the rail, ribs sticky with sauce, watching porpoises arc in the ship's wake. Evelyn sidled up, boa from last night still draped like a stole. "Your fella's popular," she observed, nodding at a group of crew in polo shirts clustered near the bridge. Liam among them, gesturing animatedly. Lecturers always draw a crowd. Yeah, Declan agreed, forcing cheer. Whale tails. She patted his arm. Maternal. Hold tight. Dear. High seas make for fast friendships and faster goodbyes. The words lingered as sunset bled orange across the sky. Declan toasting Solo with a beer, the foam bitter on his tongue. Liam reappeared just as the sun dipped. Breathless. Hair wind-tousled. Missed it, he said, apologetic, pulling Declan into a hug that smelled of salt and engine oil. But caught the encore green flash. Right on cue. They watched the afterglow together. Arms linked. But Liam's grip felt tentative, like a line fraying at the knot. Dinner was light. Salads in the windswept cafe. Conversations stilted around work woes and travel hacks. Back in the cabin, packing commenced. Declan's duffel zipping over damp towels and half-read Didion. Liam's suitcase a mystery of khakis and field journals. Extend it, Declan blurted, folding a shirt. The cruise. Stay with me in LA a few days. Or Seattle. Hell, San Diego, your turf. Liam paused. Back to him, hand stilling on a belt. I'd love that. But commitments. The Institute's got me on a dive next week. Deepwater survey off the Channel Islands. He turned, smile strained. Rain check? Your foxes deserve an illustrator who dives. The deflection stung, and Declan crossed the room, cupping Liam's face. This isn't a rain check. Liam. It's us. Real. Say you'll fight for it. Liam's eyes shimmered. Conflict raw. I am fighting. Every day, the kiss that followed was desperate. Clothes shedding in frenzy, bodies colliding on the unmade bed. It was raw, almost violent, nails raking, hips bruising, cries swallowed in the dark. Liam drove deep, pace punishing, as if purging ghosts, and Declan met him thrust for thrust, chasing absolution in sweat and shudders. Spent, they lay tangled, breaths sinking with the Engine's hum. I want this, Liam whispered into Declan's hair. You have no idea. Then prove it, Declan murmured, half asleep. Tomorrow. After we dock, sleep claimed them. But Declan dreamed of anchors dragging bottom, ship listing toward unseen reefs. Disembarkation morning broke crisp, the horizon gliding into San Pedro's industrial sprawl, cranes looming like skeletal guardians. Customs lines snaked through terminals, passengers bleary-eyed with suitcases. But Declan and Liam lingered at the gangway, hand-clasped, the bracelet glinting like a talisman. Call me when you land, Declan said, voice thick. First thing, Liam echoed, kissing him long and slow, uncaring of the crowd's murmurs. Then he was gone, melting into the throng, duffel slung over one shoulder, a backward wave swallowed by the shuffle. Declan hailed a cab to LAX, the freeway a blur of palms and billboards, Seattle a red-eye away. His phone stayed silent, no texts, no calls, just the hum of tires and the bracelet's weight. At the gate, boarding pass in hand, he finally caved, dialing Liam's number. It rang. Once. Twice. Then voicemail, a generic tone. No personal touch. Hey, It's me. Landed safe? Miss you already. Call back. Hours later. Wheels down in Seattle's drizzle. Another check. Nothing. Home was unchanged, apartment dim. Fridge humming empty promises. He unpacked. The linen shirt from the dinner folded last, carrying faint sandalwood. Sleep evaded. Jet lag twisting with worry. Until his phone buzzed at 2 a.m. Unknown number. A San Diego area code. Heart leaping. He answered. Liam. A pause. Then a voice, female. Clipped. Laced with East Coast vowels. This is Jordan. Liam's partner. He left his phone at the hotel last night. Said to tell you it was fun, but he's committed here. Don't call again. The line went dead, leaving Declan in the dark. The words echoing like a depth charge. Partner. Jordan J. The texts, the vanishings, the strained smiles, it crashed over him. A tsunami of betrayal. He hurled the phone across the room, glass shattering anew, tears hot on his cheeks. Seattle's rain pattered the window, indifferent, as the cruise's magic curdled to ash. Days blurred into a fog, work emails ignored, sketches abandoned midline. French check-ins met with curt fine. Just tired. The bracelet stayed on, a shackle now, silver tarnished by sweat. He replayed moments, the knee brush, the balcony confessions, searching for signs he'd missed. The fool's game of hindsight. Marcus's ghost paled beside this fresh wound, at least it had been honest in its cruelty. A week in, his sister dragged him to a Capitol Hill bar. All exposed brick and craft IPAs. The crowd a swirl of flannel and fades. Spill, she demanded over tacos. Eyes sharp like their mother's. Declan did. Words tumbling like spilled champagne. The hook. The heat. The gut punch goodbye. She listened, then slid her phone over. Blocked the number. And that bracelet? Pawn it for therapy. He didn't block. Not yet. But the bar's dim lights stirred something. A drag queen lip syncing to Chapel Roan. Vulnerability wrapped in glitter. Declan watched. The performance a mirror to his own unraveling. And for the first time, anger flickered toward light. Back home, he pulled out sketch pad and pencils. Lines flowing fierce. Not foxes, but whales beached and bellowing, then breaching free, pods reforming in defiant arcs. The compass tattoo itched, a call to redraw maps. Liam's silence stretched, a void begging to be filled with noise. 2 weeks postdoc, a package arrived, no return address. Just Declan's name in neat block letters. Inside, the linen tank from the luau, folded crisp, and a note, sorry doesn't cover it. You deserve better. Swim strong. Ed. Declan burned it in the sink. Flames licking blue, smoke acrid as regret. Ashes swirled down the drain, joining the rain's endless pour. But in the char, a spark. He emailed the agent who'd passed on the foxes, attaching new pages, urban beasts navigating concrete jungles. Heart scar but seeking. Response came swift, intriguing. Coffee next week? Seattle's clouds parted that afternoon, a rare slant of sun gilding the sound. Declan laced up boots, hiked to Cary Park. The skyline sprawling like a promise. No calls to Jordan. No stalks on socials, just him. Wind his hair. The pull of true north recalibrating. Betrayal's sting faded to scar. tender but tough. The cruise had been a surprise. All right, private cabin of the heart, cracked open to air. And in the mending, Declan found his own current, steady and unyielding. The Agent coffee shop was a Pike Place nook, all espresso steam and chalkboard menus. The scent of roasted beans mingling with salt from the nearby market. Declan arrived early, sketchbook underarm, nerves jangling like loose rigging. Mia Chun, the agent, was younger than he'd pictured, mid-30s. Sharp bob haircut, glasses perched on a nose that crinkled when she smiled. Love the grit in these foxes, she said, flipping pages over lattes. Queer undertones? The vixen's arc feels personal. Declan nodded, throat tight. Yeah. Lost my way last month. These helped map it back. She leaned in, businesslike, publishable. Let's shop at the Knopf. They do that literary middle grade with teeth. Contracts and timelines spilled forth. A lifeline tossed into his drift. And by walk's end, Declan felt solid. Feet on deck. Work picked up too. A freelance gig designing Pride merch for a Tacoma nonprofit. Rainbows woven into topographic lines that evoked sound charts. Friends noticed the shift, karaoke nights at the Rendezvous, where he belted Tiny Dancer off-key. Laughter genuine, not forced. His sister, ever the sentinel, hosted a barbecue in her queen and backyard, grilling salmon and skewers, the grill smoke curling like signals. Proud of you, she said, clinking bottles. Not drowning anymore. Not yet, he quipped. But the humor landed lighter, truth beneath it buoyant. Nights still brought echoes, dreams of balcony rails and whiskey eyes. Waking with sheets damp, hand wandering south in half-sated need. Hookups tempted, a grinder ping from a barista with Marcus's jawline, but Declan swiped left, craving depth over distraction. The bracelet? He wore it still, twisted now to the inner wrist, a private talisman against forgetting. A month post-cruise, Seattle's fall foliage blazed, maples aflame in Discovery Park, trails crunching underfoot. Declan hiked solo, sketchpad in pack, capturing gnarled roots and leaf-veined light. At a clearing overlooking the bay, he sat, pencils flying, a fox at water's edge, reflection fractured but whole. The pager's buzz haunted him less, replaced by birdsong and wind. Then, the email from Oceanic Institute's Public Affairs. Subject, guest, lecturer opportunity. Declan's finger hovered. Delete tempting, but curiosity won. Dear Mr. Hail, Dr. Liam Navarro recommends your illustrations for our upcoming children's program on marine mammals. Would you be available for a collaboration? The name hit like a swell, knocking breath. Liam, recommending him? After the silence. The burn? Declan paced his apartment, phone in hand, drafting replies from furious to formal. Finally, he typed, intrigued. Details? Sent before regret could reel it back. Response came swift, a video call slot. Program outline, whale tales for kids. Sketches to animations. Declan prepped. Hard drum. But the call was with a harried coordinator named Rosa. No mention of Liam. He's in the field, she explained, but raved about your work. Said you captured the soul of the sea. Gratitude warred with anger. Praise as penance? He agreed to a trial spread. Deadlines tight. Diving into inks and watercolors. Orcus in pods. Calves nuzzling flanks. Eyes conveying ancient wisdom. The work healed, layers building like trust renewed. Submission day. Rose's feedback glowed, perfect fit. Liam's thrilled. No direct contact, but the project's chained, more spreads. A workshop invite to La Jolla's tide pools. Declan hemmed. Seattle's pull strong, but the sea called louder. He flew south in November. Fog lifting to reveal San Diego's sprawl, palm-lined freeways. The Pacific a glittering promise. The Institute perched on cliffs, labs white and gleaming, aquariums humming with life. Rosa met him at arrivals. Hug warm. Liam's out on the boat, Channel Islands run. But he's expecting you. The words twisted. Anticipation laced with dread. Workshops fill days, kids wide-eyed at touch tanks. Starfish clinging to Declan's palms like secrets. Evenings. He wandered La Jolla Cove. Seals barking on rocks. Sketching by street lamp. On night 3, his phone buzzed, local number. Dockside bar, 8 p.m. Need to explain. Ed, Declan arrived early. The bar a weathered shack with nets draped like curtains. Craft beers flowing from taps etched with anchors. Liam sat at a corner table, back to the door, shoulders broad under a faded hoodie. He turned at Declan's approach. Eyes shadowed, stubble thicker than remembered. You came. You recommended me, Declan said, sliding into the booth. Voice even. Hard to say no to ghosts. Liam winced, signaling for 2 IPAs. Not a ghost. A fool. Sit. Please. The story poured out over foam and pretzels. Jordan, the partner, not ex, but on-again anchor from grad school days. The kind of love built on shared losses. His dad's death mirroring her brother's drowning. The cruise? A last hurrah before recommitting. Liam's grant hinging on her family's funding ties. The vanishings, stolen moments with her. Guilt gnawing. The note. The tank, penance. Too late. Why tell me now? Declan asked. Fingers drumming the table. Bracelet glinting under neon. Because you deserve the truth. And because I can't stop seeing you in every sketch Rosa shows. Every wave I chase. Liam's voice cracked. Hand reaching across. Hovering. I broke us before we started. But if there's salvage, Declan pulled back. Heart storm-tossed. You broke me, Liam. Trust isn't a tide pool you dip in and out of. The silence stretched. Beers warming. Fair, Liam said finally. Eyes down. But the offer stands for work. For more. If you want. No strings but the ones we tie. Declan left without answering. Night, air cool on flushed skin. Cab ride a blur to his hotel. Sleep evaded. Mind replaying the bar's dim light. Liam's vulnerability a mirror to his own. Morning brought clarity. The workshop's finale. Kids' faces lighting as he unveiled Orca murals. Their cheers a balm. Rosa cornered him after. Coffee in hand. Liam's back tomorrow. Dive with us. Closure. Or Chapter 2. Your call. He called. Voice steady. Dive. But slow. No rushing currents. The boat sliced toward Cortez Bank. Swells rolling like breaths. Liam at the helm in wetsuit. Eyes meeting Declan's over masks. Underwater. The world hushed, kelp forests swaying. Fish schools parting like silk. They swam tandem. Hands brushing fins. A language beyond words. Surfacing. Salt stung and alive. Liam grinned. See? Magic's still there. Declan treaded water. Treading trust. Maybe. One fin at a time. Back on deck. Toweling off. The crew cracked jokes. But Liam pulled him aside. Cliffs rising distant. Thank you. For hearing me out. Declan nodded. Water dripping from lashes. Don't thank yet. Earnings the game. Weeks turned to visits. Seattle to San Diego flights. Foxes mingling with whales in joint projects. Dinners in La Jolla's bistros where mezcal loosened tongues. Jordan faded. Mutual uncoupling. Liam said, her path veering to Boston Labs. Scars showed. But so did strengths. Declan's steadiness grounding Liam's wanderlust. Liam's depths drawing Declan bolder. Winter solstice found them in Seattle. Lights strung on the apartment balcony. Rain a soft curtain. They cooked cioppino. Steam rising like hopes. Bodies later entwining in sheets warmed by skin. This, Liam whispered, fingers tracing the compass, is north. Declan smiled into the dark. No ghosts in sight. Our north, but peace, like seas, ebbs. Spring brought Liam's grant renewal, Baja expedition. Months at sea. Come, he asked. Over breakfast burritos. Sketch from the deck. Declan waited. Contract deadlines. Sister's wedding looming. Halfway. Meet in the middle. The compromise held. Until a storm hit. Liam's email. Mid-voyage. Complications. Jay's back. Family pressure. Needs space to sort. Echoes of Marcus. Of cruises past. Betrayal's aftershock. Declan packed the bracelet away. Dove into work. Foxes now wolves. Packs fierce and lone. The pain sharpened art. Pages turning raw. Friends rallied. Hikes turning confessional. Rain washing doubts. Summer's end. Liam surfaced in Seattle unannounced. Duffel at the door. Eyes haunted. I chose wrong again. But this time, I choose you. If you'll have me. Declan stood in the doorway. Heart a reef. Prove it. Stay. Bill. Liam did. Apartment shared. Sketches on walls. Dives traded for design studios. Trust rebuilt plank by plank. A ship of their making. Shared life settled like silt after a squall. Layers compacting into something solid. Declan's apartment expanded to theirs. Liam's field journals stacked beside Fox manuscripts. Wetsuits drying on the fire escape. The balcony a jungle of potted succulents Liam swore mimicked Baja kelp. Morning started with coffee grounds grinding. Liam's bare feet padding across creaky floors. Stealing kisses over mugs that read world's okayest illustrator and whale whisperer. Seattle's drizzle became their rhythm. Windshield wipers syncing with podcasts on commutes. Liam to an adjunct gig at UW's Marine program. Declan to freelance meets in Belltown lofts. Intimacy deepened. No longer frantic ports, but steady harbors. Lazy Sundays in bed. Sunlight slanting through blinds. Hands exploring with the leisure of lovers who knew the charts. Liam was attentive to Declan's scars. The tattoo story retold in whispers. Fingers tracing ink like Braille. In turn, Declan learned Liam's tides, the way post-dive blues pulled him quiet, soothed by sketches of their next adventure. Sex wove through it all, kitchen counters slick with oil from stir-fries, showers steaming with shared sighs, nights where pace slowed to savor, bodies a dialogue of give and take. Challenges crested gentle at first. Liam's wander-itch. Nights pacing with grant proposals. Eyes on horizons beyond the sound. Miss the deep, he'd admit. Overtake out foe. Steam curling like unspoken fears. Then go, Declan countered. Chopsticks pausing. But come back. That's the deal. Liam did short hauls to the San Juans, returning with blistered hands and tales of bioluminescent bays, pulling Declan into bed with salt-crusted skin and stories that sparked midnight hungers. Work flourished, the Fox book sold. Knopf's Advance buying breathing room. Illustrations earning nods at AWP conferences in Portland. Liam's lectures drew crowds, his passion a beacon. But academia's grind war grooves, rejections from journals, funding fizzling like damp fuses. Imposter, he'd mutter after a bad review. Head and hands. Declan knelt then, between knees, mouth a persuasion against doubt, drawing groans that rebuilt egos. You're the real deal, he'd affirm later, curled close. Whales don't lie. Jordan's shadow lingered faint, a holiday card, polite and distant. Her engagement announcement to a climatologist in Maine. Liam read it aloud over breakfast, voice neutral. Good for her, but his grip tightened on the mug. Knuckles white. Declan covered his hand. And us. Liam's eyes met his. Steady. Better. Summer swelled with plans. A road trip down Highway 101. Redwood curves to Big Sur's cliffs. Tent pitched on beaches where waves lulled them to sleep. They hiked Pfeiffer's trails. Fog muting the world. Hands linked against roots like veins. Evenings by campfires. Esmores sticky on fingers. Liam recounting boyhood cod boats. Gloucester's gales shaping his grit. Declan shared Capitol Hill's underground, raves in warehouses. First kiss under strobe lights. Heart racing like now. One night, stars pricking the canopy. Liam pulled a ring from his pack, not diamond, but abalone inlaid silver. Waves etched deep. Not marriage. Not yet, he said. Voice rough. But a vow. To navigate together. Declan slipped it on. Salt-stinging eyes. Vowed. Their lovemaking that night was earthbound. Sand gritting skin. Cries muffled in shoulders. Release a grounding quake. Back in Seattle, the ring drew questions. Friends toasting at Elliott Bay Book Company launches, where fox cubs scampered through urban myths to acclaim. Partner, his sister asked, arm looped in his at the reading, crowd clapping as Declan closed the cover. Yeah, he said, glancing at Liam in the wings, dimple flashing. Captain of my chaos. Fall brought friction. Liam's offer from Scripps. A full professorship. La Jolla calling with tenure tracks and lab space. It's the dream, he said over diner pancakes. Syrup pooling like dilemmas. But uprooting you. Declan forked hash browns. Appetite fled. Dreams don't have to sink roots. We could split time, me remote. You diving. Liam's brow furrowed. Long distance erodes. You know that. The argument simmered. Words heating like Seattle's rare scorchers. Accusations of selfishness. Fears of repeating cruise ghosts. You run when it pulls, Declan snapped one night. Wine glasses clinking sharp. Jordan. The sea, now this. Liam recoiled. Hurt flashing. And you cling. December. Steady safe. But it stalls. He stormed to the balcony. Rain sheeting glass. leaving Declan with the echo of truths too sharp. Reconciliation came slow, apologies over dawn jogs in Green Lake. Laps sinking strides. "I fear losing you to the deep," Declan confessed. Breath clouding cold air. Liam stopped, hands on hips. "Then dive with me. Half the year, your sketches from the boat. My lectures with your art. Compromise charted. Sublet the apartment winters. Summers in Seattle's bloom." Packing ensued. Boxes labeled Fox Den and Whale Pod. Laughter edging tears. La Jolla welcomed with sun that bronze skin. The Institute's cliffs a perch over coves where seals lolled. Declan's studio overlooked the lab. Easel catching sea spray. Foxes evolving to hybrid tails. Urban beasts meeting oceanic kin. Liam thrived. Classes packed. Dives yielding data that funded more. But paradise pricked. Jordan's replacement. A postdoc named Alex. All easy charm and shared dive certs. Lingering laughs over lab lunches. Declan noticed texts buzzing during sketches. Liam home late with wetsuit salt and excuses. Team building, he'd say, kissing Declan's forehead. But the ring's abalone dulled under avoidance. Doubt crested one February gale. Liam missing a promised weekend. Storm delays the text. Declan paced the cliffside rental. Phone silent. Old wounds suppurating. He drove to the dock at dawn. Boat absent. But Alex's Jeep parked crooked. Lab lights spilling gold. Inside, voices. Liam's low rumble. Alex's lighter timbre. Laughter cutting the hum of servers. Declan froze in the doorway. Heart slamming. Liam's hand on Alex's shoulder. Casual but charged. Eyes lighting as they bantered over data prints. "Deck," Liam startled. Chair scraping. Alex flushed, stepping back. "Storm cleared," Declan said. Voice ice. Thought I'd surprise. The drive home was thunderous silence. Rain lashing windshield. "Nothing," Liam insisted, gripping the wheel white. "Brainstorming. Late night. That's all. Like Cabo." Declan shot. "Bracelet wait." "No." The ring, twisting hot. "Text I didn't see." Liam pulled over. Engine idling. "Alex is straight. December. Married. And even if it's you." Always. Proof came grudging, a call to Alex's wife. Coffee the next day. Awkward but affirming. "Lab flirt," she laughed. Liam's blind to it. "Eyes only for you." Relief washed, but trust tied low. They rebuilt with counseling, virtual sessions with a queer therapist in San Francisco. Unpacking patterns, Liam's fear of stagnation. Declan's echo of abandonment. "Vulnerability's the dive," the therapist said. "No gear. Just faith." Spring thawed it. Joint art science exhibit in La Jolla galleries. Foxes and Fluke side by side. Opening night a swirl of toasts and touches. Liam's speech wove their stories. Voice cracking on partners in the deep, drawing cheers in Declan's tear-streaked smile. Summer returned them north. Seattle's markets bursting with cherries and claims. The apartment. Sublet no more. Echoed with plans. A house hunt in Fremont. Quirky with turret and yard for a studio shed. Mornings. They biked to markets. Baskets heavy with halibut and herbs. Cooking evenings alive with wine and whimsy. One August Eve. Post Pike Place. They picnicked on Alki Beach. Ferries ghosting the sound like dreams. Fireworks cracked for seafair. bursts mirroring heartbeats. Liam turned, ring glinting. Marry me? For real this time? Declan laughed through tears. Yes. But vows on a boat. The wedding brewed, intimate. Aboard a charter from Elliott Bay. Guests a dozen, sister officiating. Friends toasting with IPAs. Suits linen light. Rings abalone matched. Vows exchanged as seals barked approval. Through storms and calms, Liam promised. Voice sea steady. I do, Declan echoed. Kiss ceiling under gulls cry. Honeymoon in the San Juans. Kayaks carving inlets. Cabins creaking with night loves. Bodies timeless as tides. Liam dove daily. Declan sketching from rocks. Art blooming salt-kissed. Back. Life layered richer, book tours tandem. Liam's TEDx on Ocean Souls featuring Declan's visuals. Crowds murmuring goals. A dog joined. Rescue mutt named Finn. Finn's spirit chasing waves at Golden Gardens. But autumn winds whispered tests. Liam's diagnosis. Post-dive fatigue yielding to tests. Thyroid shadow. Treatable but nagging. Hospital waits in Harborview. Declan's hand anchor. Sketches distracting during scans. You're my north, Liam joked. For dripping, but eyes held fear. Declan squeezed. In your mind. We'll chart this. Treatment ground. But community buoyed, fundraisers blending art and auctions. Fox Prints funding research. Remission came spring. Scans clear. Celebration a rooftop bash. Stars winking approval. Years folded. House bought. Rooms filling with canvases and cod lures. Finn grade. Kids' books birthed a series. Fox at Sea. Declan and Liam co-creating. Readings packed with tots tugging beards. At 40, Declan traced new lines. Crow's feet shared. Compass faded, but true. Liam, beside in bed, whispered. Best surprise. Declan smiled. Cabin's just the start. The house in Fremont settled around them like a well-worn wetsuit. Quirks embraced. The turret studio where Declan's easel caught dawn over the ship canal. Turrets framing fairies like paintings in motion. The back shed Liam converted to a mini-lab. Aquariums bubbling with specimens from student halls. Finn's bed a nest of faded towels. Mornings. Coffee brewed strong. They divvied chores, Declan on dishes. Sud to elbows. Liam wiping counters with a dish towel slung over shoulder. Stealing sudsy kisses that left trails of bubbles on necks. Life's cadence built on rituals. Wednesday farmers markets in Ballard. Haggling for heirloom tomatoes and sourdough. Baskets swinging as they strolled. Liam's arm loose around Declan's waist. Casual claim. Evenings. Post-dinner walks with Finn. Leash taut as he sniffed hydrants. Their hands brushing in the gloaming. Conversations meandering from Grant woes to gallery gossip. That critic panned the whales. Liam grumbled one dusk. Leaves crunching copper underfoot. Declan bumped his hip. Critics chase clicks. Kids love him. Saw a fox whale mash up on TikTok. Viral. Laughter bridged. Always. Turning gripes to grace. Career currents surged. Declan's series spawned sequels. Wolf on Waves. Pax navigating narrows. Queer allegories subtle as undertows. Earning nebula nods and school visits where teens lingered post-reading. Questions veiled in is the alpha based on. Liam's professorship tenured. His book echoes from the abyss, a sleeper hit. Dives documented in prose that sang. Illustrations Declan's gift. They toured together, Hotel nights, a blur of signings and sheets. Bodies reconnecting in anonymous rooms. Mirrors reflecting tangled limbs. Friendships deepened, his sister's family expanding. Niece toddling with fox plushies. Barbecues sprawling with her in-laws' stories of Montana ranches. Liam bonded over grills. Flipping burgers while trading tall tales with a brother-in-law. A vet with war scars mirroring C1s. "You two glow," the sister confided one tipsy eve. Fairy lights twinkling. "Like you found the Gulf Stream." Declan clinked her glass. "Took a cruise to get here. Holidays, anchor tradition. Thanksgiving at the house. Tables groaning with turkey and tamales. Liam's Gloucester roots blending with Declan's Pacific Northwest forage. Morels and cranberries a fusion feast. Christmas. They drove to La Jolla. Institute halls decked in kelp garlands. Rosa's family adopting them for pozole and piñatas. Kids shrieking as candy spilled like confetti. New Year's on the beach. Cove bonfire crackling. Resolutions whispered into chilled waves. More dives together, Liam vowed. Toes curling in sand. Intimacy evolved. Seasoned, no longer urgent proofs. But affirmations, mornings slow. Mouths mapping morning stubble. Afternoons stolen in the turret. Easel pushed aside for desk's edge. Declan's legs wrapped as Liam knelt. Devotions paid in gasps. Nights spooned under quilts. Hands linked over heartbeats. Whispers weaving futures. Adoption musings. A cabin in the Cascades for riding retreats. Storms brewed domestic. A leaky turret roof, one February downpour. Buckets catching drips as they mopped midnight. Laughter soggy but shared. Our first flood, Liam quipped. Towel snapping Declan's ass. Better than emotional ones, Declan retorted, pulling him down to damp rugs. Bodies sliding in impromptu wrestles that dissolved to lovemaking. Rain pattering applause. Bigger waves. Liam's sabbatical offer. 6 months in Monterey Bay. Hopkins Marine Station calling with submersible time. "Come," he asked over breakfast. Finn begging scraps. Declan Wade, book deadline looming. Gallery show in Chicago. Month in, month out. Like old times, Liam's eyes shadowed. Old times sank us once, but we surfaced, Declan countered. Hand over his. Gear up. The split worked. Video calls bridging miles. Liam's face pixelated from boat bunks. Declan's from studio chaos. I miss your ink smell met with crave your salt skin. Visits punctuated. Declan flying south. Sketching from the sub's porthole feeds. Biolum glow translated to glowing pages. Return brought renewal. A positive test, adoption match. A 5-year-old boy from Tacoma foster. Dark curls and wary eyes named Theo. Short for Theodore. Gift of God. Home studies and heart checks. Then the day. Social worker's car, crunching gravel. Theo clutching a stuffed orca. Eyes wide at the house's turrets like castle spires. Daddy Deck, he ventured. Voice small. Declan's throat closed. Kneeling. Yeah, kiddo. And that's Daddy Liam, whale expert extraordinaire. Theo's giggle broke ice. Finn's nose nudging his hand. Pack forming instant. Night's rough, bedwetting alarms. Nightmares of old homes, but mornings mended. Theo wedged between. Story time a trio. Foxes chasing flukes through pages, Declan voiced with growls. Liam adding spout sounds. Parenting reshaped. School runs in the Volvo. Theo's backpack bulging with crayons. PDA meetings where Liam charmed with C-facts. Declan advocating for art electives. Bedtime stretched. Theo's questions endless. Why rain? Why whales sing? Answered in tandem. Truths layered gentle. Challenges crested. Theo's acting out. Kindergarten scuffle drawing blood and notes home. Echoes of his bio-mom's struggles. He pushed 'cause I said he's different, Theo sobbed. Face bruised apple. Liam held him. Rocking. Different superpower. But, like how Dad and I fit, two halves, one pod. Declan nodded. Later in the kitchen. Dishes soaking. We're doing okay. Liam pulled him close. Sink water dripping. Better than. Look at him, thriving. Milestones marked. Theo's first dive. Kiddie pool at the Y. Mask fogging with glee. School play. Him as a pirate fox. Parents in front row. Tears proud. Birthdays stacked. 6 with cakes shaped like a sub. 7 with kayaks on the sound. Theo paddling fierce between them. But undercurrents pulled. Liam's shoulder. Old injury flaring from halls. PT sessions grueling. Pain etching lines deeper. Aging like bad wine, he joked. Ice packed a joint. Declan massaged later. Oils warm. Vintage. Priceless. Theo's questions turned pointed. Why two dads? Other kids have moms. Honest as tides. World's big. Theo. Families fit different molds. Ours is whale strong. Preteen Theo bloomed, curious. Crushes on classmates, blurring genders. Talks tentative over ice cream. Is it like you and Dad? He asked. Spoon pausing. Declan smiled. Exactly. Loves the current, follow it true. Liam's pride swelled. Hugs tighter. You lead these. December. Steady hand. Anniversaries anchored. 10th cruiseversary. Rebooking the horizon. Theo in tow. Cabins adjoining. Captain's dinner redux. Theo wide-eyed at scallops. Liam's knee brush under table a private code. Declan spill a story retold with laughs. Balcony nights. Theo asleep next door. They made love to waves hush. Bodies familiar continents. Post-cruise. Life crested full. Theo's art echoing Declan's. Whales in watercolor. Liam's retirement whispers. Adjunct life easing to consulting. Declan's gallery in Pioneer Square. Walls alive with hybrids. Opening nights buzzing. One eve. Post-show. Theo, now 15. Lanky with Liam's jaw, drove them home. Learner's permit fresh. Proud, he asked. Glancing rear view. Bursting, Liam said. Hand on Declan's thigh. At home. Fingon 2 years. His bed a plant stand. They toasted on the turret balcony. City lights winking. From a shatter to this, Declan murmured. Ring cool on finger. Liam kissed his temple. Surprise worth every wave. Theo called from below. Ice cream run. They descended. Family triad. Seattle's pulse theirs. Twilight's hush fell over Fremont as Theo revved the engine. Responsible now at 18. College apps stacked like charts on the kitchen island. Dreams veering to marine bio. Liam's legacy laced with Declan's creative bit. The ice cream shop on Aurora glowed neon. Cones dripping vanilla and fudge. Laughter spilling as Theo recounted dorm horror stories from orientation trips to UW. Roommate snores like a sea lion, he groaned. Licking drips. Liam chuckled. Arm around Declan's shoulders. You'll tame him. Orca style. Homeward. Windows down. Wind tousling Theo's curls. The radio crooned Fleetwood Mac, Landslide. Voices joining soft. Harmonies a family's hymn. Declan leaned into Liam. Scent of leather and sea, salt, eternal. The ring's abalone catching street lamps like lures. The house welcomed with turret glow. Easel silhouette against shades, Declan's latest. A mural commission for the aquarium. Foxes breaching beside belugas. Queer fables in fin and fur. Theo vanished to his room. Headphones on. Essays calling, downstairs. Liam poured ports. Fire crackling in the hearth. Finn's old bed, now a memory quilt draped casual. Sit, Liam said, settling on the rug. Back to couch. Pulling Declan down. Glasses clinked. Liquid dark as midnight swells. To us. 30 years since that damn dinner. Declan sipped. Warmth spreading. Feels like yesterday. Champagne shatter. Your hand on my knee. Thought I'd combust. Liam's laugh rumbled. Hand tracing Declan's thigh. Echo of that tablecloth touch. You did. Lit me up too. His eyes. Whiskey still. Held Depp's mind over decades. Storms weathered. Joys charted. Conversation meandered. Theo's first crush. A non-binary artist from art camp. Handled with Pride Parade grace. Liam's memoir draft. Tides of the heart. Weaves of science and soul. Declan's forward inked teary. Publish it, Declan urged. Your voice needed. Liam nodded. Fingers interlacing. Ours. Always. The fire popped. Embers dancing. And Liam shifted. Kiss slow. Port's tang shared. Hands roamed familiar, buttons undone. Shirts shed to rugs weave. Bodies mapping home. Declan's mouth trailed Liam's chest. Scars faded but felt. Nipples pebbling undertone. Liam groaned. Arching. Hand cupping Declan's nape. Guiding gentle. Love you like this, Liam breathed. As Declan descended. Lips parting for him. Slow worship. Tongue swirling heat. Liam's hips bucked subtle. Fingers threading hair. Release building like a squall. Tensed. Then shattering. Salt and sigh. Declan rose. Kissed through aftershocks. Liam's hands undoing his belt. Reciprocating with reverence. Kneeling now. Mouth enveloping. Eyes locked upward. Devotion in gaze. Declan braced the mantle. Fire's warmth on back. Pleasure coiling tight until it uncoiled. Waves crashing inward. Liam swallowing steady. They collapsed together. Rug soft. Fire's glow gilding skin. Still surprises, Declan murmured. Head on Liam's chest. Heartbeat thunder. Liam's arm tightened. Best kind. Upstairs. Theo's light spilled under door, music faint. Studying late. They peeked. Tousle-haired son bent over books. Determination etched. Our masterpiece, Liam whispered. Door easing shut. Bed claimed them. Quilts heavy. Body spooned. Liam's front to Declan's back. Hand over heart. Rings clinking faint. Dreams came shared. Cruises relived. Cabins private with promise. Wakes foaming forward. Morning broke crisp. Seattle's equinox balance. Coffee perking as Theo bounded down. Backpack slung. Drive me? Got that interview. Liam tossed keys. You drive. Dad shotgun. The Volvo hummed to campus. Autumn leaves swirling. Theo's nerves voiced over radio jazz. Think they'll like me? Declan turned. They'll love you. Like we do. Drop-off hugs lingered. Theo's frame tall now, but squeeze boyish. Thanks, Dad. Alone. They walked the quad. Liam's hand in Declan's pocket casual. Empty nest soon. Declan squeezed. More balcony time. More us. Liam grinned. More everything. Afternoon found them at the locks. Salmon leaping Ballard way. Fish ladders a metaphor lived. They watched. Shoulders touching. Theo's path echoing leaps. He'll soar, Liam said. Like his dad's. Evening gallery crawl. Declan show and pioneer. Walls alive with evolutions. Early foxes tentative. Later whales bold. Hybrids triumphant. Patrons murmured. Theo arriving late. Suit sharp. Pride beaming. Killed the interview. They want the portfolio. Cheers erupted. Glasses raised. Family core amid the swirl. Home late. Theo crashed early. Dreams of dorms. Declan and Liam lingered kitchen. Wine unwinding. Dishes soaking. Proud, Declan asked. Leaning counter. Overflowing. Liam pulled him close. Dance slow to phantom tunes. Kitchen tile cool under socks. Upstairs. Bed welcomed. Lovemaking tender. Missionary gaze locked. Movements waves lapping shore. Climaxes synced soft. Sighs mingling. After. Tangled. Liam traced the compass. Faded but fervent. True north. Always. Declan kissed his palm. Our surprise. Years rippled on. Theo graduated. Berkeley bound for bioarts double. Wedding to his partner, a sculptor with ink-stained hands, in a cove ceremony. Officiated by Rosa. Now God aunt. Grandkids came. Tiny tots with curls and queries. Toddling turret stairs. Easels mini. Liam retired full. Consulting light. Dives traded for grandkids snorkels in tide pools. Declan wrote memoirs. Shattered flutes, a life in lines. Launches packed with generations. 60th for Declan. Surprise cruise. Horizon rechristened. Theo chartering. Family aboard. Captain's dinner redux. Toast long. Theo's speech cracking. From one spill to a lifetime. Balcony night. Stars same. Liam's hand steady. Still my surprise. Declan leaned in. Endless. Ages crept gentle. Joints creaking like hulls. But holds firm. Morning walk slow. Hands linked. Evening's porches. Stories retold. Laughter lines deepening. One autumn. Liam's cough lingered. Doc's probing lungs shadowed. Old dive toll. Manageable, they said. Treatment's routine. Declan held vigil. Sketches waiting. Theo flying in. Grandkids' drawings taped bedside. Fight it, Declan whispered. Hand clasped. Liam smiled weak. Did. For you. Winter took him quiet. Bed by window. Sound view last. Waves calling home. Declan sat vigil. Compass on chest. Theo's head on shoulder. Funeral cove side. Ashes to sea. Orcus breaching distant. Sign or solace. Declan scattered last. Ring to water. Sail strong. Grief's tide pulled deep. But family anchored. Theo's hugs. Grandkids chaos. Studio waiting. Declan sketched final. Liam is whale. Eyes whiskey. Pod eternal. Years soften scars. Books dedicated to L. My depth. Gallery wing named Navarro Hale. Hybrids hanging. 80. Declan on porch. Sketch pad idle. Sound whispering. Theo. Silvered. Beside, he'd say draw. Declan did, lines flowing free. Surprise reborn in every stroke. Value gleamed human. Love's not calm seas, but navigation shared. Betrayals to bonds. Surprises savored. In fractures, holes emerge, steady, deep, unending.